This is the Galaxy Watch Ultra. It doesn't look anything like the Apple Watch Ultra. Let's start with that. But it's a very big competitor for that watch. Regular viewers will know that I've recently become a Samsung person, so I'm now using the Samsung Z, and we do say Z in this country, Z Fold 6, and before that I had the S24 Ultra, but before that I was an iPhone person. I was a massive iPhone fanboy for 10 years, and I still am. I still love the iPhone, and I still love the Apple Watch. So the first thing to say is that this review of the Galaxy Watch Ultra isn't a thing where I'm going to say that Apple Watch is useless now and I'm not an Apple person. None of that is true, because I still think the Apple Watch is the best all-round smartwatch on the market. However, the Apple Watch Ultra now has a proper competitor in the Ultra stakes, because Samsung has launched a Galaxy Watch Ultra, because of course it's called that. And in this video I'm going to explain why this is one of my new favourite smartwatches. Let's talk about the specs and the pricing for the Galaxy Watch Ultra. It comes in one size, which is 47mm. It's made from grade 4 titanium, which comes in two colours, either grey or white. It's military tested to a standard which I have no idea what it means. It's got loads of letters and numbers in it, so it must be important. It's got dual frequency GPS, which means it has access to L1 and L5 bands. It's got IP68 water resistant, which is also 10 ATM. Basically, you can go pretty deep with this thing. It's got Bluetooth 5.3 and cellular, which is the only option, and the display is a 1.5-inch unit, which is Super AMOLED. It's got a 480 by 480 resolution and 3000 nits of peak brightness. It's powered by the Exynos chip. It's got 2 GB of RAM. It's got 32 GB of user addressable storage, so you can put music and apps on there, and it's running Wear OS. It costs £599 in the UK, and that's the only price because there's just one option. So immediately we're off to a very interesting start, because that makes it 200 quid cheaper than this. The design of the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Firstly, that's the Apple Watch Ultra. That is the Galaxy Watch Ultra. They do not look the same. This is a square watch. This is a circular watch. And yes, it does have a square-ish frame. And if you put them side by side, there's a slight resemblance, but everything is in a different place. So firstly, this has a rotating crown. Sorry, a rotating bezel. Is it a crown? It is a crown, which is great. This doesn't have that, which is a bit annoying. I'll come on to that in a bit. But the buttons are in a different place. There's only one button on this side for the Apple Watch Ultra. There's two on this side for the Galaxy Watch Ultra. The Galaxy Watch Ultra doesn't have any buttons here, and the Apple Watch Ultra has the international orange action button there. But onto the design of this particular watch, and I really like it. Now yes, it does look huge on certain wrists, and for some reason in footage, the footage that I'm showing you now, it probably looks massive. And in fact, if I put it back on my wrist now, a bunch of you will be hitting the comments and saying, that watch is massive, I can't be doing with that. But on my wrist, which is, I did measure my wrist, it's about 7.5 inches, and on my wrist it seems to fit perfectly for my tastes. This is incredibly subjective. Obviously, if you don't like big watches, then just get the regular Galaxy Watch. But if you're not bothered about that, and if you like big watches, I think Samsung has judged this perfectly. The display is great. It's very bright. It's 3000 nits, so it matches the Apple Watch Ultra 2 in terms of maximum peak brightness. It's very legible as a result in direct sunlight, and it's very sharp. It's nice and quick. It's great. Now, hands up, I've never enjoyed using Galaxy watches. They always feel hamstrung when it comes to performance. They just feel sluggish and jittery, and they're not very responsive. And again, compared to the Apple Watch experience, it's just night and day. Watch OS is just brilliant, and the hardware, which obviously Apple controls all of, is just utterly perfectly married to the operating system, and it feels buttery smooth. Up until now, I've not enjoyed using Galaxy watches because they don't feel like that. This does. Now, there is some AI stuff built into this watch because, of course, there is. Galaxy AI is everywhere now. However, and as I mentioned during my review of the Flip and Fold 6 phones, I just get the impression that manufacturers like Samsung, and they're not alone with this at all, are throwing AI stuff into their devices, even though most normal users don't really care. Most of the AI stuff that's useful is the stuff that kind of happens without us knowing. It's things, photo enhancements that just happen without us doing anything. In the case of the Galaxy Watch Ultra, it uses AI to calculate some of the fitness stuff. So for instance, if you are a cyclist, I had to write this down because I don't understand it. There's a thing called the functional threshold power, FTP, which is basically something that cyclists use to measure how brilliant they are, basically. Now, the Galaxy Watch Ultra uses AI to calculate that number. Similarly, we get an energy score, which is basically an amalgamation of all of the sleep metrics and activity metrics. It all comes together via AI and gives us a number which we can read on the watch. Again, fantastic. Then we have suggested replies to messages, which is one of those AI features I don't quite get, because does anyone use it? Is anyone using these AI features? Let me know in the comments. But there's one big question about this watch. Does it live up to the Ultra name? Okay, let's go through the Ultra features of the Galaxy Watch Ultra. I'm reading these from the Samsung website, so let's see what we think. It's apparently the toughest Galaxy Watch ever, which means it's got an impact-ready cushion design, which in theory means it can take anything. I've only been wearing this for a couple of weeks, and that's not long enough to give you a proper review of the durability of the Galaxy Watch Ultra, but I have knocked it occasionally. I've done the normal thing of walking around and bashing my hand into door frames and all that sort of stuff, and it's completely fine. It's got the 10 ATM water resistance, which if you are a diver, you'll know exactly what that means. I don't, and I live in Leamington Spa, so I haven't tried it. The operating temperature is -20 to 55 degrees C. Now again, I live in Leamington Spa, which means I can test a very tiny and massively unspectacular portion of that temperature range. It's nice to know if you're going to go hiking in the wilderness and it's going to get very cold or very warm, this should be okay. It does have a Siren, which I think I need to put it on to try, and this is just like the Apple Watch Ultra. It's 86 decibels, which could be heard 180 meters away apparently. So the way that you do it, you hold down this button here. No, yep, you hold down the button here. No, I don't want Bixby. I do not want Bixby. I thought you held that down. Galaxy Watch Ultra Siren. Yeah, long press the quick button. That is a quick button. It's not an action button. It's not the action button. It's called the quick button, and you can customize that. So by default, you press it once and you get your exercises, which you can obviously scroll through. You can change that to a few other things, and you're supposed to be able to long press it. How long do you have to press it? I'm in danger. Oh, here we go. Here we go. The siren's going. That was way too long. Anyway, that works. That's an Ultra feature. I can't hear anymore. The next one is the night mode, which is the Night Rider mode. That's when the display goes nice and dark and red. You don't get that on the standard Galaxy watches, so that is definitely an Ultra feature. And then we have the battery life. Battery life on Ultra watches is one of the most important aspects, and the reason that's the case is again because of the Garmin factor. Garmin watches last for days. The Ultra, as in the Apple Watch Ultra, doesn't. This lasts 2 days, 3 at a real push. It does last longer if you put the power saving modes on, but when you do that, it turns off loads of stuff that you might want to use. Now, the Galaxy Watch Ultra has 3 power modes. So the first one is the normal mode, which gives you 60 hours with the always display turned on and up to 80 hours with it turned off. We then get power saving mode, which gives you up to 100 hours of battery life, but that turns off loads of stuff. And then there's exercise power saving mode, which gives up to 48 hours of exercise recording. Again, that's only available on the Ultra. You can't get that on the other Galaxy watches, but it turns off things like the accurate GPS tracking, the heart rate monitoring is less accurate, Bluetooth is turned off, and all network connectivity is switched off as well. So if you want to use that exercise power saving mode, you have to forego quite a bit of stuff. What matters is how this watch performs in normal power mode, and I can confirm that just like the Apple Watch Ultra, the Galaxy Watch Ultra lasts 2 days. And that means just like the Apple Watch Ultra, it cannot compete against Garmin because Garmin's last for days without turning loads of stuff off. So just bear that in mind. Okay, big comparison time. Galaxy Watch Ultra versus the Apple Watch Ultra 2. This is an Apple Watch Ultra 1, by the way, but £599, £799. This is slightly bigger by 2mm. This weighs 1 gram more than this. This is square, obviously, and this is round, although this does have a bigger display, which is 1.92 inches versus 1.5 inches. This has a slightly bigger battery, but as I've just explained, that doesn't matter. This uses grade 4 titanium. This uses aerospace grade titanium. I have no idea what the difference is. They both have up to 3000 nits of peak brightness, but the Apple Watch Ultra does have a slightly better OLED display. This has loads more band options than this because it uses obviously the Apple Watch band system, and there's millions. This has a rotating crown, which is really useful, and it's a weird miss on the Galaxy Watch Ultra. I don't know why you can't twiddle that. This has 2 color choices, this has 1. And in terms of which one you go for, it depends entirely on your preference of smartphone. Obviously, if you're an iPhone person, get this. If you're a Samsung person, get this. And this brings me to my inevitable conclusion about the Galaxy Watch Ultra. As mentioned earlier, this is the first Galaxy Watch I've enjoyed using, and I think it's going to be the first Galaxy Watch I keep on my wrist for quite a while, particularly now that I'm a Samsung person at the moment. It just makes complete sense. However, it's also just a lovely watch. I love the way it looks, I love the way it feels in terms of the operating system and the fluidity and the buttery smooth operation, and it has all of the Ultra stuff, which means if I do find myself in the wilderness and, you know, I'm underwater and I need to Siren and all that sort of stuff, at least I know it's got it. It's a bit like owning a Land Rover Defender. You never need any of the stuff it can do if you live in Leamington Spa, but you want one because it's really cool. The fact we have a proper competitor for this watch is a very good thing indeed. So if you're a Samsung person and you're super active and you don't want a Garmin for whatever reason, just get yourself the Galaxy Watch Ultra. I think for 599 quid, it's a very, very good deal. And if you want to know my thoughts on the Flip 6, which is one of the phones that Samsung has launched recently, and I still think it's the most interesting phone on the market at the moment, keep watching for a link.